Hi, this is Piotr from Hamad, and we've got an interview for you with David Means from Prime Meridian. And David is an architect specializing in Grade 2 listed buildings, and he designed the scheme at Duke Street, Strourbridge. And that basically this interview is covering the background of the architecture practice that David's got and their involvement with the application process, how they went about designing this code scheme, and how easy it would be to actually implement this in real life, given that they know how this whole thing is designed and they know the um, like minute details of the building. So I'll leave you to listen to this video and do your own due diligence on the whole process.
Well, my name is David Minns. I'm an architect. My company is called Prime Meridian. We're architects and we're structural engineers, and this is our 32nd year of trading. Over those years, we've done an awful lot of listed building work, big ones as well, important grade ones, 2 stars, country houses, big mills. So this project was a very good fit for us. We were introduced to the clients, Manj, Lee and Neil, and from our very first meeting, I think we got along very well. I take the view that as an architect, we're there to advise our clients, and I think our track record and our experience of listed buildings was well received. So to start with, we always walk the building. We try to assess the asset. We understand what it is. That probably takes 2 or 3 visits. In this case, I think we had 2 visits to site. We then commissioned a measured survey, so we had detailed base data about the floor plans, the elevations, the levels. From that, we started to scheme out a scheme, and as often is the case, these things go through several iterations. It's a combination of an architect's view and the client's needs, if you like. And after, I think, probably only 1 or 2 iterations, we came up with a scheme which suited their requirements and I think fit with the building. So we were left with quite a footprint, and we've managed to use all of it. I don't think we're demolishing anything. We're using all the existing footprint, and there is a proposal which has got planning to put another floor on one of the rear buildings. So the analysis told us that across the front, across Duke Street, we had, if you like, the original historic part of the building, which were 3 cottages, 3 separate buildings, and we put them back as 3 2-story cottages with access from the street. The wing, then there were 2 wings pointing eastwards, one to the south, which we've made into 2 houses, and the wing to the north, which was much more modern, we've made into 3 flats by putting another floor on the top. The only thing we're knocking down is the modern green glass atrium, which was late 20th century, which we could not convert, and also its position on the back wall meant that windows from the older part were obscured by this atrium. So it was quite an easy decision to take that down. Clients were happy with that, and the space we gained becomes a communal small private garden area, so it gives a bit of space around the buildings. So the mix really was a function of the buildings themselves. I don't think we pushed or shoehorned anything into it. That all the units are national size, standard size for the type of unit. There's car parking, not for every unit, but there's enough parking to comply with planners' requirements. They recognise that it's a tight site and there's only so much space we can give over to parking. How we sort of eased the planning process, I think, was by doing that staged approach. Rather, we had a pre-app, we had site meetings, and by that point, because it's a listed building, the planner deferred really to the the listed building officer, in terms of the principle of development was never in doubt. It's a town centre location. It was a lot of an employment use, but that was something they could bear. So it was really led by the conservation officer, and I think we managed to convince them that we were being true to the building. We did a fair bit of research. Our heritage statement was convincing, I think. We even found some photographs in the Wiltshire local county record office of one was a glass plate, which is in our report, going back to the 19th century, of how one of the doors looked. So we're going to reinstate that. I think the only issue we had, not really issue, but the thing that the conservation officer and the planner were very keen to see, was changing the shop front of what was the newspaper office with that modern big glass screen. So we've introduced smaller glazing and a front door and changed some of the detailing. That's the most visible part of the building, and I can understand why they did that. Yes, across the Duke Street, we've certainly reinstated former party wall lines. When you walk the building at the moment, the ground and first floor is hard to say. It's just either one big open space or subdivided. So we're reinstating party wall, the regional dividing walls between dwellings, to make them two-storey houses on the same footprint as they were before. Yes. We also did some structural analysis because, and the good thing was that the more modern parts of the building had been operating as industrial processes, really, with heavy machinery. We're told that up to 40 people, I think, worked there at some stage. So the floors had taken an awful lot of load. So converting back to a residential use, the imposed load is going to be a lot less. We found very little distress in the building. There had been strengthening works carried out to support the printing loads. So that was really quite helpful. The major structural work we're doing is probably excavating, just to create more space around the building and to move some of the car park away from the building to reduce the damp, because at the moment the car park runs up against one of the wings. So by pulling that away, we need to do that anyway to get access into one of the houses, the new houses, but it also reduces the likelihood of damp because we haven't got higher ground up against it. Well, there's always a story, and they're represented in a couple of drawings and a couple of reports, but it wasn't a long process, this one, but it was, it takes 2 or 3 or 4 months to get from start to finish to get the application in.
Yeah.
And I think, from my view, it was a good project. It went reasonably quickly, and the clients got the result they wanted. I think we were engaged in December of last year, 2019. Mm-hmm. It was reasonably quick. I think we've got planning. From memory, the conservation officer, although lockdown got in the way, the conservation officer was going on holiday at the end of June, and so that was always going to be his deadline. I can't remember if he went on holiday now, but yeah, it was about 6 months from start to finish. So for listed building, that's about right.